Following the devastation of Hurricane Helene in states like Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, Donald Trump has decided he wants to do the only thing he ever cares about, which is see how he can use any situation, and in this instance, a disaster in which people have lost their lives, to benefit himself politically. He wants to use this situation for his own political gain, and so he decided today that he would do a campaign stunt in Georgia in one of the towns that was incredibly affected by this storm. Now, it was one of the more disgraceful displays in Donald Trump's campaign so far. Again, using whatever situation he possibly can for his own political gain. But it immediately backfired in a way that I am excited to check out, because if Donald Trump is going to do something disgraceful, there better be repercussions, and there were, and we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoyed this channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting the work that we do right here. And before we get into Donald Trump's press conference and the rest of the statements he made in Georgia today, I want to make a little bit of contrast and hear what Kamala Harris had to say in response to the disaster that has played out from this storm right here.
For as long as it takes to make sure that they are able to recover and rebuild. Earlier today, I received an operational briefing from FEMA Director Criswell. More than 3,300 federal personnel have been mobilized. We are deploying food, water, and generators and working to restore water and power. And the President and I have told state and local leaders we will provide whatever help they need in the days and weeks ahead. And so I thank you all for sending your best wishes to everyone there. Thank you.
That is what a real leader sounds like. Someone who wants to respond to disaster, not figure out how they can use it for themselves. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. He didn't go anywhere to help. He didn't go anywhere to support the families. He didn't go anywhere to support communities. All he cares about is extracting as much as he can out of his supporters, out of our country, for his own political and financial gain. And the press conference he gave today was such a perfect example of that, such a gross example of it. Just take a look at this disingenuous response, this disingenuous statement that he gave.
The region, our hearts are with you, and we are going to be with you as long as you need it. It's called an hour of need. You're in our prayers, and we pray to God, and throughout this long weeks, the long weeks that lay ahead, you're going to have a lot of work, but the end result is it's going to be good. We just wish so many people weren't so badly hurt, and in many cases, sadly, no longer with us. We love you. We love everyone. Everyone. I mean, to be honest, we love everyone. And we'll be back, and we'll be back again soon. And we'll continue to help until you're bigger. I say bigger, better, stronger than ever before. But again, you can't ever discount the fact that people are lost. A lot of people have been lost in this terrible storm, this terrible hurricane.
He can't even pretend like he cares. He can't even act like this matters to him. The fact that people had their communities devastated across the country. He doesn't care. He can't even get up the nerve to act like he does. And if you can see that shot in the background, the building that Donald Trump is speaking in front of, you can see the bricks that are broken out of it. Now, those bricks were taken by Donald Trump's campaign team, and they were put around him to build his podium to give this BS press conference, in which he lied, in which he really was just there for the political photo op. What could be a more perfect representation of the terrible person that he is, using the literal devastation of a community to build his podium, to set up his little photo op? It's just gross. And like I said, this wasn't just a political photo op for Donald Trump. He also wanted to use this occasion to lie about President Biden and Vice President Harris and their response to this hurricane. And when he was asked about it by a reporter, and then we're going to check out what he actually said during the press conference, because that's when we see this backfire on him. But when he was asked about his lies that he's pushing by a reporter, he just had to run away. It's the only thing he can do. Let's take a look.
He had been saying on Truth Social that he believes Democrats, specifically the governor of North Carolina and the federal government, had been intentionally denying aid to Republican parts of the Tar Heel state. I asked him what, if any, evidence he had to back that up. You can see what he said here. Democrats intentionally not getting aid to areas. What was that in reference to?
Governor Kemp did call.
Where's that coming from?
Biden did call Governor
Any
Kemp
evidence for that,
yesterday.
Mr. President?
You got to vote Trump, people.
Very difficult to hear his response there on that clip, Katie, but his answer was, take a look. Essentially, I've got nothing to show you right now.
One-word answer and then run away. He's not a leader. He can't take accountability nor responsibility. He goes to push lies. He doesn't care who they hurt, doesn't care who they affect. This was a photo op. Like I said, using the devastation literally of a community to benefit himself. It's all he cares about. And of course, Donald Trump would use this opportunity to lie and say that President Biden and Vice President Harris aren't responding to this crisis. The guy who wouldn't respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, the guy who cost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of lives around the country. Why? Because he didn't want to put on a mask and set a good example. And so people lost their lives because he was worried it was going to hurt his makeup. It was going to mess it up. That's the type of leader that Donald Trump is. That's the type of lack of a leader that he is, running away. And like I said, Donald Trump has been pushing this lie and saying that governors across the country, governors in the states affected, have not heard from President Biden. They didn't call. Well, that is, of course, just not true. And so when Donald Trump said that in his speech, we got a nice little video of that being spliced with Brian Kemp shutting down that lie of Donald Trump's and saying, no, President Biden absolutely called me and he's all in on helping us. And I want to check that out.
Ideally with the governor, that governor needs to, he's been trying to get them, and I'm sure they're going to come through, but he's been calling the president, hasn't been able to get him. But
I just spoke, the president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, you know, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
He's just a liar, and everyone knows it. And do you know what? I don't want to do this now, but I kind of feel like I have to. Really, Brian Kemp, this guy has been attacking you. He's been attacking your wife. He's now attacking your state, the communities affected by this terrible storm. And you don't have the courage to say, this is not a leader. What would Donald Trump be doing right now if he was president? Do you think he'd be jumping into action to help your state? No, he'd say, oh, you didn't give me the 11,000 votes I wanted. I'm not sure if I'm going to send you any disaster relief. Why do you not have the courage to stand up to him, to call him out and say, I can tell he's in our state. This is a photo op. He's not doing anything, and he wouldn't do anything for the next 4 years. Have some courage. Call him out. We need to see that more. But I'm glad that Donald Trump's lies clearly backfired. I don't know if that was intentional from Brian Kemp, but it certainly goes a long way. And it wasn't the only ridiculous thing Donald Trump said in this press conference. We can also see this right here.
the devastation wrought by this storm is incredible. It's so extensive. Nobody thought this would be happening, especially now it's so late in the season for the hurricanes.
No one thought this would happen, says the guy who once suggested nuking a hurricane, who drew on a weather map, by the way, which is illegal. Not surprising. Donald Trump loves committing crimes. But do you understand that we're in the middle of hurricane season? Again, he doesn't care. He didn't look into any of this. He doesn't care about the actual effect. He's just there for a photo op. There to say whatever he wants, there to lie, there to feign care for the communities. But does he actually? No, of course not. Of course not. And President Biden actually did respond to Donald Trump's lies attack, saying that he's not doing enough to help communities in his press conference today. And I want to take a look.
My first responsibility is to get all the help needed to those impacted areas. And I expect to be there. Excuse me, I have a cold. I expect to be there later this week. I and my team are in constant contact with the governors, mayors, and local leaders.
President Biden is a real leader. He has been for the past 4 years. Kamala Harris is a real leader. She has been for the past 4 years and will be for the next 8. These are serious people. They actually care about this job. And that's something that Kamala Harris so perfectly put in her interview with Stephanie Ruhle when she was talking about tariffs. Of course, she could suggest how ridiculous and out of touch and really dumb Donald Trump is for suggesting that he was going to tariff John Deere 200%. But the most important point she made is that he just doesn't take this stuff seriously. He just doesn't care to learn or think or ask questions or be curious or be educated. No, he just wants to spew nonsense. And that is not someone that we can have responding to crises. We've already seen him fail to do so. And that's why the report that CNN gave on Donald Trump's photo op today was so ridiculous and really just made my blood boil, and we're going to take a look at it.
out. He is clearly taking this seriously as a politician is on the ground trying to show that he is there in support of the people on the ground in Georgia. And of course, this comes as well. He is, again, offering a message of unity.
Really? This was a guy who went there to take a photo and to lie about the vice president and president's reaction to this crisis. What's unity about that? He was trying to divide. In a moment in which unity was needed, the first thing that came to his head was, how can I lie? How can I hurt people with my lies? Really, it's just, the journalism is so bad. How do we let him be covered this way? It is ridiculous. I know I'm a little upset, but I think we should be, because this is wrong. His behavior is wrong, and the coverage of it is wrong, but we're going to keep calling it out on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.